It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. Well, my work really focuses on helping people to find some healing in some difficult times. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world around us. No matter where you're listening to the sound of my voice, you know that things can be kind of difficult from time to time. And my work concentrates on helping to make things easier. So in my career, and I worked in the corporate world for about 15 years, and I've been an entrepreneur here for over a decade, owning several businesses and focusing on speaking, coaching, and writing as the main emphasis of my business. And I've really found that what people are looking for today is a way to make things easier, even when life isn't easy. And that's the title of my new book. It's called Easier. And it really, I think, taps into a pathway out of frustration, not with a lot of simple answers or 10 things that you need to do to add to your list of things to do, but a way of looking at life, a way of approaching life that I think turns us back towards a more natural state, turns us back towards nature, and even towards our human nature. Because when we see ourselves as a part of nature, we see that things can get easier. We see that we don't have to go it alone, and we even see, and I know this probably sounds crazy, but I'm going to say it anyway. We see that the universe has our back, that the universe is working to support us. And even when there have been times in my life where I felt like the universe stabbed me in the back, I've come to realize that's just not the case. There's a new way of looking at things. I have a good friend of mine, Richard is his name, and he's from Nigeria. And we were talking about this very question. And I told him, I said, Richard, I believe that everyone has a story to tell. And so my work focuses on helping people to bring their stories forward, to bring their stories to life. But in that same spirit, I want to share my story and share my experiences, not from a standpoint of, writing a memoir or, turning my life into some story, but to take my experience and to help others to see a way forward. And my friend Richard and I, we're both dedicated to helping people to understand that they don't have to go it alone. That life, if it looks like you have to face the world by yourself, you have to lift the world on your own shoulders, there's another way. And that way forward is not just based on self-reliance, but an understanding of the power of connection and the power inside of, again, our humanity.
There is power in the depths of our creativity. There is grace in the process of its birthing and reincarnation. There is beauty in reclaiming stories that have always been ours, but never owned or told by us.
The piece you just listened to is titled Source of Hope and Redemption, and it was composed by the brilliant Sapika Abdul Ghani Bello. She is a writer, spoken word artist, and certified youth trainer. She has performed poetry at major conferences around Nigeria and internationally, including events organized by the African Union, the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Foundation, the Swedish Embassy, and the Young African Leaders Initiative, among other organizations and societies. She also won a number of awards for her creative work. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Your piece was really lovely. I was swept away, to be honest.
I'm glad you found it so.
Yeah, well, actually, I was spellbound listening to those words. What inspires you?
Many things. My crazy thoughts. People watching. I look at people through the window when I'm passing by. News news inspires me a lot. Generally, I would say the idea of storytelling and the power it holds, I think, is very important to my inspiration. And whatever it is that I see, I try to make meaning out of it and tell stories from it, because I think it is very important for us to tell stories.
Is this something you've always enjoyed right from when you were a kid, or growing up you just found that inspiration? Like, would you say when you were younger you like to read books, watch movies, watch films?
When I was younger, my dad would always give me books, and he had this like huge library with books that I would look around. Sometimes I would see titles that I didn't know what they meant, or like words, and he would give some to me and tell me to read them. After a few days, come back to him and like discuss it, have like a review kind of thing. So yes, I used to read books growing up. Regarding writing, I started writing at quite an early age just because I was a very shy girl. Okay. And I didn't like to talk to people. So I would rather write letters, just journal, throw away like a piece of paper with my writing in it, with my thoughts. And so growing up, I had the habit of reading and writing, but then it evolved more into poetry, into articles, and a lot of other things that I do.
So when with all this treasure trove of talents that you actually have, I mean, like you write poems, you write articles, you write stories, and all that. Which one is your best storytelling medium?
Yeah.
Poetry, without a second thought.
Why poetry?
I think poetry has an interesting way of sending across a message. I can write about a topic without mentioning the topic, and I still pass across the message. And I like the idea of playing around with words, with tone, the highs and lows, the inflections in my voice, and that is where performance poetry comes in. So yeah, poetry I think is a very creative way of like organizing my thoughts and ideas in a rather lyrical way, I would say.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Welcome to the show. All right, here trying to make sure that your weekend goes the way it is supposed to, and it's a beautiful sunny morning out here, isn't it?
It's good to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Now, the bio actually talks about you, being very, very adventurous to the extent of, discovering a new sites, just like, we would call you like an Indiana Jones of Nigeria. Now, how has it been? Could you share your experience with us?
Yeah, so, well, for me, it's been transitional, to be honest. The tourism aspect of the work I do became a passion when I started writing about places I visit, I experience and all of that. And then I discovered that, people are more prone to actually visual contents than reading items. So I discovered photography is an art I can actually go into. So I learned photography. From that, I learned the arts of photography, videography, and even I just vested into video content creation. And gradually I started even making documentary films. So for me, talking about the North, to be particular, is more, it's more of something that I have more, passion for than, general tourism, leisure travels. So I usually just do cultural, adventural, and, heritage travels, yeah.
All right, so do you predetermine where you're going to go, or you just sit down and say, okay, fine, let me have like a 6-month plan. I'm going to explore this, and this, or you just go on a whim?
Absolutely, I do have plans. First off, I make research on places that have, heritage, histories, and cultural histories that are very ingrained to the people and, you know, are still perhaps alive, or perhaps they're fading away in some sort of, you know, I don't know. So when I get the...
Like with infected pets. All right. So right here in the studio, we have a doctorate degree holder of veterinary pharmacology, and she's Sherifat Balogun Raji. She's right here in the studios. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and she's here to give us some insight as to what is fact, what is fiction, and what is myth about monkeypox. So once again, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, so let's talk monkeypox. There are lots of information flying around there about how it is, what it is, and how you can contract it. But let's just break it down for us. What makes monkeypox what it is?
First of all, monkeypox is a zoonotic disease.
Okay.
That's a disease that can be communicated between humans and animals.
Okay, hence the zoo.
Yes, hence
all right.
the zoo.
Yes, I picked that up.
It's zoonotic because humans could get the infection from animals, as well as animals could get the infection from humans. That's what makes it highly contagious. It's a public health disease, and it calls for an emergency that the whole world should face squarely. Initially, like you rightly said, in the 70s, it was only being contracted by Africans. It was seen like a disease of Africans, seen among Africans in the West Africas and in Central Africa. Yet, the global health emergency wasn't anything, as in it wasn't attacked like it should. It's a very uncomfortable disease. It affects population, it affects economy, it affects a lot of things. But with the emergency of the coronavirus and with the way it affected the whole world, it gave it a prominence that infections that are zoonotic, that could affect us, our livelihood, our animals, should be given preferences. Hence, with the emergency of the global, of the monkeypox recently, we saw that everywhere in the world, everyone was on their feet.
All right, some amazing eye-opening moments there on Daybreak Extra through the year 2022. I mean, like, we've had some amazing guests. We've got some fantastic insights. And of course, we've had some really great fun right here in the studio, bringing you all the very best right here on Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. Well, we're ushering in 2023. This is the last episode, the last show we're going to be doing for this year. And of course, we're reviewing and projecting and everything else in between.
Everything else in between. Those were, you know, very, very good moments there on Daybreak Extra, talking about things that matter. We started off with issues around mental health, and then getting to explore the world of poetry with a very brilliant
Sabika.
poet.
Absolutely brilliant.
Sabika, she's a delight.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're moving on to photography and all of the things in between. We could go on and on. Due to time constraint, we couldn't bring all of the beautiful moments here on Daybreak Extra, but we'll continue to do some of these beautiful things on Daybreak Extra moving forward. Yes. 2023 promises to be a better year on the program, more interesting things, and of course, I'm sure Daybreak Extra will be a show where on Saturday you just have all of the family waiting to see what we have in store.
Exactly. And as we review the past episodes that we've actually had on this show, I mean, like, we get to find out the things that you've done well, the things that you need to improve upon. I mean, like, and just to relive those moments. You know, there's some moments that they pass and you don't think you can get them back, but at least reliving them a little bit, it gets you back, it takes you back to that particular moment and brings back a lot of fond memories. So I think it's always good at points like this for us to in retrospect, just.
So which of these reviews were you surprised to see on TV? Oh, I really did this.
Yes, exactly. I mean, like, sometimes a thing comes up and I'm like, when did this happen?
When did this happen?
Yeah, when did I say this? And you know, and it's you know, sometimes you do things here on a whim and you have to be quick on your feet, and of course sometimes you just pull things out of the hat just like that, and immediately you do them, you forget them, you know. But when you're reviewing things like this, and that's when you get, oh, so that's what I said at this particular
especially
point.
in this hustling and busting era where you're doing something and the next minute you're moving on to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens a lot with journalists, broadcasters.
Exactly. So that's how it is, and it's absolutely amazing. Just like we talked about earlier. I mean, like it's great to do this, you know, to have an opportunity to do this. Or every week or every day, to be able to reach out to a lot of people, you know, and talk about issues that concern people, and touch lives. If you're able to influence just one person, you know, within the whole year, that is something, that is an achievement. That is something that you should be proud of. And of course, having a medium like this, it's absolutely amazing.
Exactly, and of course we've done our reflection on the Daybreak Extra this morning. Like you said, we've taken home some few things, and some few things that we need to work on. Of course, we have to work on. I learned a lot from, you know, the reviews. It reminded me that this year we fought monkeypox. Exactly. This year alone, we talked about mental health. A lot of people were affected. This year we had the floods.
Exactly.
And the World Cup.
Of course.
Losing
Lots
Pelé.
lots of events, and we still have some more reviews and some more moments right here on on Daybreak Extra that we're looking back on in 2022, so that we could actually be able to have a firm foot to stand on in 2023. Let's take a look.